Russell Wilson has had a storied career. He was a third-round draft pick that won a Super Bowl for the Seahawks and broke many Seahawks franchise records, establishing himself as the best quarterback in their franchise. However, his play has significantly diminished in the past couple of seasons, leading to questions about his legacy and whether he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. This video will go over the downfall of Russell Wilson. We begin in the 2020 offseason. Wilson is coming off a great season where he threw for over 4,000 yards and had 31 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. The Seahawks made the postseason during the 2019 season with an 11-5 record. They won the wildcard game against the Eagles, but lost to the Packers in the divisional round. It was a decent season for the team. Wilson and the Seahawks would start 5-0 during the 2020 regular season. He would throw 19 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. After Week 5, he would have the third most passing yards in the league. It looked like he was on his way to winning an MVP. It also looked like Seahawks fans were getting a pass-first offense that they had been asking for years. This movement, called "Let Russ Cook," was trademarked by Wilson himself. After his hot start, Wilson would cool down a lot. In the final 11 games, he would throw 21 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. While the Seahawks finished 8th in scoring for the season, there were moments of dysfunction throughout the final 11 games. One game in particular was the Giants game, where the number 1 seed for the team was on the line. The offense put up a terrible performance. Wilson was sacked 5 times and put up a QB rating of 23.9. The team would finish 12-4 in the season, winning the NFC West, but only earning the number 3 seed. In the wildcard game, the offensive dysfunction continued against the Rams. Wilson threw for less than 200 yards and put up a QB rating of 12.7. He also threw a crucial pick 6, which significantly changed the game. The Seahawks would lose 30-20. It was an embarrassing performance for not only the offense, but for the team overall, as they had lost to Jared Goff, who had an injured thumb. After their 2020 season concluded, the Seahawks would fire offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer due to philosophical differences. This change was definitely needed as the offense lost its identity and rhythm in the second half of their season. They would hire Shane Waldron as their new offensive coordinator. He was previously the passing game coordinator for the Rams. Wilson and the Seahawks would start 2-2 on the season. He played well as he had thrown 9 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Overall, the offense was a bit inconsistent, but that was okay for a first-year offensive coordinator. In Week 5, the Seahawks had a crucial Thursday night matchup versus the Rams. This game marked a major turning point for the season, as Wilson had suffered a significant finger injury during the game. He would exit the game, and the team would eventually lose 26-17, making their record 2-3. Wilson would miss the next 3 games, and the team would go 1-2 during that stretch, making their overall record 3-5. When he returned, the team would lose its next 3 games, setting their record at 3-8. The offense struggled, and it wasn't clear whether it was his injury that led to these difficulties. The team would finish 4-2 in their final 6 games. Wilson played well during the stretch as he had thrown 13 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, with a passer rating above 100. On the season, he had good stats as he threw for 25 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. But he was inconsistent. Even though they had played well to close out the season, the Seahawks had a disappointing record at 7-10. The team needed to make some major changes during the offseason. After the end of the 2021 season, Pete Carroll and John Schneider would stay with the team. The question was, what was going to happen with Russell Wilson? In March 2022, the Seahawks would trade Wilson to the Denver Broncos. Seattle would get a couple of players and a major draft haul in return. The Broncos looked like contenders. They had the 3rd best scoring defense in 2021, and they also had nice skill position players on offense. All they needed was a quarterback to make them a legit team. Before the season started, the Broncos would extend Russell Wilson to a 5-year extension worth $245 million, including $165 million guaranteed. This was a bold move by the team, as they had not seen a single snap from Wilson. The 2022 season for the Denver Broncos was a complete disaster. They went 5-12 on the season, and head coach Nathaniel Hackett was fired in the middle of their season. Wilson went 4-11, threw only 16 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. He was also sacked 55 times, which was the most in the league. Without any first-round picks and an albatross of a contract, the future looked very bleak for Wilson and the Broncos. After their 2022 season concluded, the Broncos would make a trade for Sean Payton with the New Orleans Saints. They would give up a 2023 first-round pick and a 2024 second-round pick in exchange for Payton and a 2024 third-round pick. Denver and Russell Wilson were getting an experienced, successful head coach. The Broncos had a roller coaster of a season. They started 1-5, which included a performance where their defense gave up 70 points to the Dolphins. It looked like it was going to be another disaster of a season. However, the Broncos would then go on a 5-game winning streak to bring their record to 6-5. It looked like they might make a playoff run. This wasn't the case, as they would finish 2-4 in their final 6 games, bringing their record to 8-9. While the season was an improvement from the previous year, it was still disappointing as they had missed the playoffs. Wilson improved from the previous year as he threw 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions with a passer rating around 100. But he still wasn't playing up to his contract. What was interesting about Wilson's season was that Sean Payton told him during their Week 8 bye to waive his injury guarantee, otherwise he was going to be benched. Wilson would continue to play until Week 16. After Week 16, Payton would bench Wilson for the final 2 games to prevent a $37 million injury guarantee for the 2025 season. It was a turbulent end to the season for Wilson and the Broncos. In March of 2024, Russell Wilson would get released by the Denver Broncos. The Broncos had to take an $85 million cap hit, but they were willing to endure it for the best of their franchise. Wilson would then sign a 1-year veteran minimum contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers worth only $1.21 million. He was projected to be the starter after the preseason, but he would suffer a calf injury, which would keep him out for the first 6 games. The Steelers would start out 4-2 while he was out. Once Wilson came back, the Steelers would go 6-1 during his first 7 games. However, they would end the season on a 4-game losing streak, finishing 10-7 on the season overall. The Steelers would make the playoffs as a wildcard team. In the wildcard round, the Steelers would lose 28-14 to the Baltimore Ravens. Wilson threw for over 250 yards with 2 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. He had a passer rating over 120. This performance wasn't good enough. Overall, he had an okay season, as he threw 16 touchdowns to 5 interceptions during the regular season. But it wasn't great. During the 2025 offseason, Wilson wouldn't re-sign with the Steelers. He would sign with the Giants in March 2025. It was a 1-year deal worth up to $21 million with $10.5 million guaranteed. He would be joining the QB room with Jameis Winston. Later, the Giants would draft Jackson Dart with the 25th overall pick in the 2025 draft. Wilson was named the starting QB to open the 2025 season. He would struggle in a Week 1 loss to the Commanders. He threw for less than 200 yards and had a QB rating of 24.9. In Week 2, he would bounce back, throwing for 450 yards with 3 touchdowns to 1 interception. However, in Week 3, he would have a bad performance against the Chiefs in primetime. He would throw for less than 200 yards with 2 interceptions and a QB rating of 7.3. After this disastrous performance, the Giants would bench Wilson in favor of Jackson Dart. This gets us to the present day. There are 3 main reasons for Russell Wilson's downfall. The first is that he's lost his athleticism and mobility, which is a special ability earlier in his career. The second is that he's lost a little bit of his durability. The third reason is his inability to attack defenses that prevent the deep ball. His best ability is throwing deep, and when defenses prevent that, he gets flustered and impatient. Right now, Russell Wilson is rumored to be a potential trade deadline pickup. In my opinion, I think he needs to retire as soon as possible. He's already won a Super Bowl and earned plenty of money. I don't think it's worth the risk to put his body on the line more and more. I also think his legacy gets further tarnished if he plays more. I hope this is the final stop for his career.